Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today for the Super Soldiers Report. I have another message that is quite complex, and I hope you can bear with me, but it has a lot of information. It's called Super Soldiers. This is the Gobi Agenda 9, Gobi Desert Agenda 9. And it's also the Battalion 9. I'm going to go into this of how it sort of unfolded through a private session that I had with someone who had asked me about Gobi 9. But at the same time, things were starting to appear, and it begins with a hotel in Hollywood, California called the Roosevelt Hotel, where I saw that Monarch was using this space through the elevator shaft, creating all sorts of anomalies, and it had been going on since the time of Roosevelt. What concerns me is that so much activity was happening, and it was introducing a lot into the Hollywood area, which of course projects out into the world. So this has multi-facets of explanations. Later I discovered that Roosevelt did have something to do with the Gobi Desert. And with further discovery, I found that Roosevelt was concerned about many of the deserts and his thoughts and ideas of how they contributed to the earth. The Gobi Desert, he believed, were filled with trees at one time, which carried many types of minerals, including phosphate, that was supposed to be assisting other areas of the earth right now. He also said that if there were trees still there, there wouldn't be a climate change, that things would have been different. He supported the Joshua Tree Desert and some other deserts, as well as landmarks or preservation areas. So what does Roosevelt have to do with this? I'm not really sure. I know that he went to another desert in Saudi Arabia, interacted with a sheikh, and then approximately 2 months later he died. So there's some mysteries in the deserts, and of course we have many military operations like Desert Storm and other things that have gone on for a while. And there was actually another kind of military operation in World War II where there were a group of men that were there in hiding. They actually took some type of pill to make themselves look like they're Asian, and it changed the skin tone to blend in. And they went into a kind of an operation where they were spying for the Chinese, working with the Chinese to get information about what was going on in Japan. So some very, very strange things happened there, and I think it kind of drove some of the people into, some of the American soldiers into a bit of a madness, and they talk about them riding around on horses with no clothes on. And so that's part of it. But there's definitely something else going on too. There's a legend about a Mongolian worm in the Gobi Desert. And then I started to see something else. And that was something very similar to what appeared to be the scenario of Dune, where you have these very large worms, and in this case, the Mongolian legend is that they are venomous. And another thing that comes up is that people are skeptical about this worm, even though they have many incidences and stories of people coming back, or some people just going into the desert and never returning. Of course, there are other animals there that are dangerous, and they had a whole list of them. But this worm in particular I guess, is noted to be able to spray venom from a distance, to be rather large, and people typically don't survive if it's around. So that's been going on, and similar to Bigfoot and Sasquatch and the Yeti, any other type of cryptozoology type of creature that people talk about seeing but don't always have a lot of information. There's still these people reporting of some kind of encounter. My explanation for that is these beings, these creatures, are interdimensional. They can step in and out of reality, and I know that for sure with the Bigfoot incidents. And in this case, I'm going to go a little deeper into what I saw. So as I've mentioned before, that things happen in this dimension, then they happen off dimension. There's micro realities, there's all sorts of even alternate realities. And in this one incident, the reason why I am calling this a super soldier agenda of 9, the Gobi Desert agenda of 9, is because there is a sub-reality that exists. And I was able to step in, and I saw what looked like a chain-linked fence, and I could see a facility. I felt like there were guards there. And within the facility, those were military operatives, super soldiers, assets. And on the outside, there were these worms. And very much like the agenda to take over the worms, or in the story of Dune, it's because of the powder that they want. In this case, it had nothing to do with that. It was just a matter of destroying them and then clearing the area of them, or so it seemed. I saw a female who was kind of over the project, and she was telling some of the soldiers to go out there. Many of them would come back very injured, and they would restore them, and then send them back out into this mission to destroy the worms. However, these gigantic worms were also getting restored, and then they would recover, and then they would also go back into attacking humans. And this trauma and this pain would continue over and over and over again, like some type of unfinished hell with lots of traumas and having literally no purpose other than creating trauma. So the reason why I'm sharing this is because those that have any affinity or any connection to this information, I'm telling you to abort the mission. It has no purpose other than to create trauma, and I'm suggesting that you pull out and not engage in it whatsoever if you feel that you have a connection to that at all. Some of you might ask, what does Roosevelt have to do with it? What about the history? Why are we looking at this in the first place? Aside from the Tartary connection, which all of the Tartary areas are opening up and creating some of the old information, the old beings, the ancient beings, the energies, the spirits of these old beings are starting to come up, and we need to be aware of that and have a sense of it, but also with that brings up other issues, and this overlay, this reality became apparent to me because of it. So there's some good things that are happening, but also it's almost like releasing of kind of a pit of hell from some of these regions. And so it's creating some other issues and problems that we would think were unrelated. For example, what I saw in the Roosevelt Hotel in Hollywood, to me, created a link and possibly a portal from one region on the earth to another. I know that the Joshua Tree is also a place where people go and look at extraterrestrial activity. That too is linked to in other regions on the Earth, not just off-world. So you don't really know exactly what you're looking at. Not everything leads up into the sky. Some of it is here on the Earth and out dimensionally. And it's quite complex. That's why it creates confusion, problems, illusion, and even, should I say, mirage. Because a mirage, oasis, everything that's related to the desert, this is the time of illusions. We already dealt with the mirrors. This is another type of illusion that should not be ignored. So I know this was a lot. It took me a while to search through it. I knew that there was more, and I'm sure that it still goes much deeper. But I think the primary thing to do right now is, if you have any connection to whether it is this monarch site in Hollywood, or if you feel connected to this Gobi Desert incident, or even whatever is happening in Saudi Arabia, which is another overlay. All of them lead to an untimely death, to unhealthy circumstances, and a very uncomfortable and unfulfilling outcome. We don't want people going into missions that don't have purpose. So pull out of those missions and restore and retain your health. There are some of our Montauk soldiers and so forth that are leaving the planet now. And we know about Preston Nichols, and Max Steele is another one who has passed on. And so they're going into, for whatever reason, things are happening where some of those that were in the programs are leaving us, and maybe it is untimely. So we need to be mindful of this, and let's take better care of ourselves and think about what the outcomes can be. And I think that with knowledge is power. We can survive and thrive, and let's move forward in this. Thank you for your time. Be well, be strong, and always remove all levels of illusion.
You have been listening to Andronetalks Radio. Join us on YouTube channel Jessica Arael Morocco, and visit her website at www.readingsbyarael.com.